Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the 2-in-1 podcast. Sterling, Madison, and Mike here with episode 70, first episode of 2025. Gentlemen, it's great to be back. And let's go ahead and get started with the Century former Tournament of Champions, now Tournament of guys who played really well last year in the FedEx Cup. What do we have for some initial thoughts?
Just happy to see golf back.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not from Virginia, especially the greater Richmond area, you'll know, or you won't know, that we've had a lot of snowfall. Madison's kids haven't been in school. Mike's kid hasn't been
Hasn't
in
been in
school.
school.
Last 3 days.
Right.
Chesterfield County, Richmond City, um, playing it safe. I feel like when I was in school, we'd be going at least today on a 2 hour delay. But yep, 3 days in a row for them. Snow on the ground. Golf course probably won't be open until next week. So it was great to see the beautiful scenes from Hawaii. Massive fairways, low scoring. Almost makes you wonder what you could shoot out there. Can I break par all 4 rounds in Hawaii? Who knows? But yeah, it was just great to see. Obviously, Hideki Matsuyama lit it up. Colin Morikawa doesn't get it done again at the Century, which is tough to see. But yeah, overall, a pretty solid tournament to get us started for 2025.
Yeah, I agree. It's always nice to get those beautiful shots of the ocean off the coast of everywhere on Hawaii, honestly. But it's great. I mean, it's a good time to be around. Like Sterling said, there's snow on the ground, ice on the ground. Some people don't have water in the area, which is also, I mean, it's
Very true.
2025. But stuff happens, so it's nice to be able to mentally escape for 4 days to be able to see those scenes, and then of course not only golf on grass is back, but also golf in SoFi has started. I guess a little bit on grass there. So
There's grass there too, so
so good time to be getting back into the swing of things for sure.
Question for if you all are in Chesterfield County, so we didn't have to experience the water situation. Um, do we know anyone in Richmond that had to?
my
Yes.
oldest
Did
daughter.
you? Okay, so I've never had to experience this. Went to college at ODU. Water was fine down there. Been in Chesterfield the rest of my life. I know like Virginia Tech had some issues this past year or past semester, but you know, I was just thinking you just get a Brita and run that. I found out today you couldn't even do that.
No, no, Britta's not going to filter out all the little micro nasties.
That's what I heard. So I'm
Yep.
really happy to be here in Chesterfield County and not in Richmond because I would have been sick, dead. I don't know what happens to you if you drink that water. Um, but yeah,
It's a precaution more than anything, I think. They're just trying to act with an abundance of caution, but it's still just a massive hassle. Like I said, my oldest daughter lives in the fan. She lives right outside downtown Richmond. She has no water, so there's nothing to boil even. She's just dead in the no water, basically. Showering at the gym. She's gonna come over here tomorrow night and do laundry. It's a tough scene if there ever was one. Truly, truly.
Yeah, and they're I guess not supposed to get water back until Friday, and then we've
Friday
got
at best.
more snow coming in on Saturday, which is just disrupt things
Yeah,
even more. So it's been a
yeah.
fun week if you're in Richmond or now Hanover and Henrico as well. So the surrounding areas. Fingers crossed it doesn't get across the river and get us. But yeah,
Yeah, Friday at best, and yeah, it's 2025. But when you've got a water system with pump stations that date back to 1925, that's the kind of situation that you're in. Gotta hate it for Danny Avula. What, a week on the job as the new mayor of Richmond, and here you go. Here's this
yeah,
pile of here's this pile of crap that we're gonna dump in your lap.
yeah.
So getting back to much warmer and much happier scenes. Absolutely, Hideki's performance was just unbelievable, almost unconscious, and you know, the putting was very good by his standards, but not great by professional golf standards. You feel like he left a couple out there almost.
Well, he does have a new putter in the bag this week. So he's moved from his traditional Scotty Cameron. It is now that's I guess it's like a little. To me, it looks a little off center, but it's a center shafted blade putter now that he's switched to kind of help give him a little more confidence on it. So I don't know if he's still figuring that out a little bit, but I mean to go shoot 35 under. I mean, I'd hate to see him when he figures it out. I mean, I'm glad because he's on the Boston Common team, but seriously, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a honeymoon with the new putter. Although the first time I saw that thing, it looked like a Ping O blade from the '80s. I mean, I remember that in you know bags at the country club that I used to work at. So I'm sure it's not, but it was definitely throwback looking. Yeah, so obviously a phenomenal performance. Does it count with Scotty not in the field, still nursing the hand injury? Is there an asterisk?
I'm gonna go no.
Okay.
It does count. Scoring record. Obviously, Scheffler not being there is a huge letdown. Um, but Hideki and a lot of these guys, like I get it. Scotty's the best player in the world. Went on a crazy run last year. I guess you can't even call it a run because he did it for so long. But Hideki is a robot, and when he's on, he's one of the 10 best players in the world. And when a guy like himself is on, like you're not going to beat him. He's letting the club go and his follow through. It's landing next to the flag. That never gets old. One thing I love to see from him is that. Um, I mean, I don't know. He's just a machine, and it just doesn't get old.
Yeah, you kind of got to wonder what's the criteria for the one arm follow through, because I can't tell the difference. Like you said, they're he's hitting absolute heat seeking missiles and letting the club go like like it's a toe shank. It's ridiculous sometimes, but it is super fun to watch.
Yeah, he's an announcer's nightmare with that because of course they're always like, "Oh man, it's going to be a good one. Look at that follow through." And I mean, sometimes they're like, "Oh, he hates it. He hates it," and they're like, "Well, I don't know why." When it lands 2 feet next to the pin, but yeah, it doesn't get old. And I agree. With you, Sterling. I think when Hideki is in that rhythm, it's going to be hard to beat him anyways, and especially at a place like Hawaii where there really is nothing. There's no real challenges that are going to trip you up. I mean, you kind of really have to stumble over yourself a couple times, get yourself back up, and then stumble a couple more. It's not one that you can really kind of you can't fail too hard there. And when he got on that run and really started making the birdies, it was great to see Colin chasing him. I thought that could have come down to it, but like you said, I think when Hideki's on, that's it. He's gonna win. I mean, that's just the way that it is.
Yeah, agree wholeheartedly there. Colin Morikawa, another nice finish.
Hmm.
You know, nice finishes, finishing second. No shadow leaderboard here for him to claim. So, what do we think? What do we think about Morikawa and especially his putting on Sundays? It just seems like there's still there's still something there that's holding him back almost.
What was his last win? Does anyone know that?
Was it 2023?
I was thinking it was
Was it the Open?
23.
Am I tripping on that?
I think he might have won a signature type thing.
Stack guy
2023 Zoso.
Madison. Okay.
2023 Zoso.
Yeah.
So late
Wait.
23.
Oh, okay. Jeez, I'm still thinking it's 2024 right now. It's 2025.
It's
Okay.
2025. Yeah.
So a year.
Little over a year.
Little
Yeah.
over a year.
With I mean a bunch of good finishes. He had a bunch of good finishes last year.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. Won a ton of money. Got steamrolled by some hot players in a couple of instances, and then at the Tour Championship got steamrolled by the starting Strokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Just a
just
little
love to see a
concerning.
win from him. Yeah,
Right, exactly. This is the kind of guy that no one hates him. Everyone kind of roots for him. May not be your favorite player, um, but you do want to see him have some success, especially since he had it so early in his career. I what his biggest thing was like the no missed cuts, right? He was like
hmm
22 in a row, no missed cuts, and he was up there with Tiger Woods' record. Um, and like we just said, he won the Zozo in 2023, and he's been right there. He's been knocking, just hasn't gotten it done.
No, I agree. I agree. You expect more from him, and I guess it's because maybe with such a hot start to the career, there's almost nowhere to go but down, and he's kind of regressed to the mean. And you wonder if he'd taken that start to his career, kind of spread it over these years, you'd be thinking differently about him. Definitely, definitely. But I mean, that's the weight of massive expectations. So, and again, you're hoping he can get that together for who is he playing for? He's on one of your. Is he on the
He's
Bay, or is he LA
He is
Golf?
he's L,
not.
he's LA.
He's
He's
an
LA
LA
Golf.
guy,
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
which those teams have nothing to do with where you live, unless you're
obviously not.
Tiger or Colin. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of random.
Yeah, definitely, definitely is there. But anyone else, any other performances really jump out at you this week?
I mean, it really was the Hideki and Collins show coming down to the end. I mean,
hmm
I watched a little bit of Max's performance. I know there's been a lot made about his complete overhaul of his gear, but then also everything that's in his bag as well. I think other than the putter and the ball. So really kind of seeing what he was going to do, and a lot of that what he talked about. The reason he was doing that was came off a really pretty successful year for him, and then I wouldn't say a drought, but something that was very different in comparison. What he felt was kind of a 180 from where he was, and he started looking for different things. He's changed
hmm
swing coaches, like I said, he's changed his clubs, he's changed his apparel, everything like that. So really, just kind of wanted to see how he was coming out into the season with. And I know we're going to talk about gear maybe in a little bit here, but um, it's a big change. And I know that he was doing some testing before, but one of the things and one of the reasons that he said he went with Cobra though is their ability to turn around a set of irons with their new 3D printed irons, where he could say, "Hey, this is what I like. This is what I want to see. Top line, with whatever the sole it looks like." And they were able to turn it around really quick. So that's what he's actually playing right now is a 3D printed
Yeah.
set of irons right now. But I think overall the performance was good. I think he was a T22, T26 maybe.
T26,
Okay.
69, 69, 67, 68, 19 under. Usually a pretty decent performance, but
Yeah, you'd say probably
this
like
week
top
getting
15.
yeah,
But
this week getting boat raced.
yeah, so I think overall a pretty good performance. This is a great time to really put it in the bag and put it in play, like you alluded to earlier,
hmm
Sterling. Super wide fairways, pretty forgiving. It's kind of how many birdies can you make out there. So one, hopefully it was great for the confidence for him, but also getting used to that equipment as well. That he'll kind of have a better season this year. But other than that, I didn't really, I wouldn't say there's any notables. You have Hideki that really kind of stole the show more than anybody else.
Yeah, I got one. Another guy that finished right there with Max Homa T26, Will Zalatoris.
hmm
Seems to be healthy. Claims that he put on 20 pounds. A lot of comments on that Instagram post. It's just, where is the 20 pounds? Is the 20 pounds in the room with me right now? Just
Yeah.
funny stuff like that. Because to me, he looks the same. With his frame, his build, he was a pencil before. Now he might be a pen. You can't really tell. And I feel like with him, like you'd be able to tell if he put on 20 pounds.
Yeah, there's no place to hide it. It would
Right.
be obvious. I'm with you. I do not see where that 20 pounds went. But Zalatoris, I mean, I'll tell you what. going into the fourth round, was really looking pretty good. Kind of laid an egg with a 73 in the
Yeah,
final round, where he could have been a lot better than 226.
yeah. I mean, 100%. I agree with you. It's you look at the scores, and you had to average basically 65 to have a chance.
Hmm.
He went 65, then threw up a 70, which that 65 put him pretty much in contention. I think he was two, one or two back after the first round. Maybe a little bit of pressure,
Hmm.
seeing his name that far up on the leaderboard, probably for the first time in a long time. Shot 70, which is realistically a 75 at this golf course.
Right.
Bounces back with a 65, and then, like you said, lays an egg on Sunday with a 73. Um, I mean, it's got to be putting. I mean, I didn't see his 73 on Sunday. I know he's got a lab putter, a lab broomstick in the bag. Um, I don't know how you shoot 73 here. As I say that, I'm now looking at who is this? Davis Riley shot an 80.
Oh, I wanted to get to that. I wanted to
Yeah, it
get to
was
that too.
assuming he got injured. I saw he withdrew.
Mm,
Is it the classic? I'm playing bad. I got to get out of here.
injured. Yeah,
My
I
back's
heard.
flaring up.
I think he. I think what I heard was he shot about a 37, 38 on his front nine on Sunday with no pars, and he pulled the ripcord. So I don't know. Not a great. I don't know. I don't think that's a great look. I'm hearing that he still gets the money. He still gets the points for
Yeah.
finishing last. I think if he was truly hurt, then absolutely he needs to pull out. But if not, I don't. You don't love to see that. And then also, Brian Harmon, worst finisher, who played all 72 holes at 3 under. So a 33 shot spread between Hideki and the worst player in the field who played all 4 rounds. Obviously, no, everyone played all 4 rounds, but wow,
Mm-hmm.
32 shots, 32 shot spread. That's something.
Yeah,
That's
we'll have to
impressive
write
stuff.
that down and save it because that may not happen again. Trying to think
I
anything else from.
I was just going to say notable performances as well. Your boy Jonathan Vegas finishes solo fourth.
solo
Sterling.
fourth.
Um, Sung Jae finishing third at 29 under. He was probably would have been the closest of making any type of run with Colin, and then a couple others, right? So finish on Sunday. You've got um, Ludwig and you've got Xander making the plane ride from Hawaii back to Florida to get ready for the TGL. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ludwig, another good performance, top five. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a really stellar year. Everyone talks about just how good his swing looks, how well that he kind of performs. Obviously, you saw it even on simulator golf. He was clutching up on every single shot, every single hole there. But
Yeah.
I would expect this to be a big year for him. So I'm gonna throw that out there early. Early prediction. Sterling's shaking his head.
I mean, what are we
Doing all
talking
that,
about
right?
here? He's top six in the world. What are we talking about? He's gonna have a good year this year. Of
I
course
think
he is.
I think multiple wins this year. That's what I'm
Okay.
throwing
That's
out.
not crazy to say. That's not a hot take. That's not even really a take at all.
Well, how many? Multiple can be two,
Three.
up to
He's saying
an
two.
infinite
Now that
number.
I'm bringing it
Are
up,
you
he's
saying
bumping it.
two? Are you
Three. I'm
saying
saying three.
three?
So over under three and a
Over under
half.
3.5? Jinx.
Presented by FanDuel.
If you're not on FanDuel, what are you doing?
Yeah. What do we got
Over
here,
under
Madison?
3.5?
What's the over under?
Yeah, I'd set it at 3.5.
And you're
Well,
taking the under?
I'll take the under. Well, here's the question though. Here's the question. Hold on. Are we just talking PGA? Because doesn't he have? Doesn't he? Play
We're
a
not
little bit
talking
on the
TGL.
DP? No, I'm not talking TGL. Obviously, we already have a win.
Big
there.
win last night.
Yeah.
Only Tigers wins on the TGL will count towards PGA Tour stats.
Yeah. Well, OWGR has a new board member. Did you guys see that? Off topic.
I didn't.
Trevor Immelman will be the latest addition to the
Interesting.
OWGR. But no,
Good.
I mean,
Good pickup.
Yeah.
do all of the wins that we're talking about, do they just just coming
Like
on the
DP
PGA
World?
Tour
You
or
were talking
DP
about
World
DP
Tour.
World?
Yeah, anything like that.
Is he a DP World Tour? Yeah, he is because
He has
you
to
have to be. Yeah,
Has
that's
to be
that's
for
on
Ryder
me.
Cup.
That's
Yeah.
on me. Hand up.
No worries. No
Um,
worries.
If we include it all, I say I'll take the over.
Yeah,
So
if we include it all, I'll take
you're
the over.
saying-
If just PGA Tour, I'm taking the under.
Yep, I'm going.
all wins, line set at 3.5. You're taking the over.
Yep.
I'll take the under.
Ooh. Provocative.
He would have to get a win before Augusta for that over to hit. And just the
He could pick up some garbage time wins on the DP
Where?
World
Whoa, whoa,
Tour
whoa,
on the
whoa.
Rolex
Yeah,
Series
yeah.
at the end of the year.
no, I
You
don't
mean
think
no?
yeah, obviously he could, but these guys don't play anymore.
Yeah,
He
but
does-
you got to
he's-
remember the week before and the week after the Open, there's the what is it typically? Is it the Irish
The
Open?
Genesis,
Isn't it the Genesis Scottish,
Scottish,
then the Open, then the Irish?
Yeah, there's plenty.
He ain't playing
there's
the
plenty of
Irish.
tournaments up there.
Nah, he won't play the Irish.
No.
He ain't playing the Irish. He's going back
He'll
home
play-
wherever he lives. Texas Tech.
He will play. So he might go back to Lubbock, but I bet you he will play at least some of the Rolex Series because they will drive a forklift of cash to his house to get him to play in some.
I
of
mean, that's where Rory is this week. He's
Mhm.
over in Dubai this week, correct? I mean,
cashing
that's-
appearance fee checks. Yes.
Yeah, and I gotta assume the dollar signs just got added after that first TGL win.
You
So
know.
I mean,
So let's hold on TGL for a second. I wanted to shout out Mav McNeely.
Hang on, Mike.
T8. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I just
All
went
right.
back and counted the number of events he played in last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a Ryder Cup year. I think he'll play in less events. He played in 22 stroke play events. So Olympic golf, men's golf championship, that was in there. Hero World Challenge, that was also in there. So you're telling me he's going to win at a 20% rate?
I'm sticking with it.
Okay.
What the
I'm
heck?
gonna ri-
I'm
I'm gonna
sticking
ride
with
with
it.
it.
I'm not
What's-
gonna.
what's
I'm
it
not gonna
hurt?
welch. Yeah.
what's it hurt? I'm not putting a house on it.
Let's
What's
put a
it
house.
hurt?
I'm just kidding. Dollhouse.
Yeah.
All right.
If I
Where are we
lose, I'll
going?
film. If I lose, I'll film around left-handed. I'll film a 9-hole vlog left-handed.
And
I think YouTube-
My punishment will be that I'll have to film it. How about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think YouTube has a time limit. I don't know if you can go over 5 hours on a video.
It'll be like
We'll live stream it. It'll be hilarious.
we'll do a little Mike after dark.
It'll be
situation.
hilarious.
Mike has to stay in the simulator, hit lefty shots until he gets a hole in one on number 7 at Pebble.
Yeah.
Dude, Jerry talking. I can't hold the club.
Okay,
Dude,
no
Jerry,
club. What do you guys want?
Jerry's so funny, man. He's not even trying. It's just like his accent and just what he does, his mannerisms,
Oh,
whatever.
my God.
Anyway, so Mike, you were shouting.
Yeah.
Matt
Last
McNeely.
shout out, Mav McNeely, managing the sponsors exemptions into signature events masterfully last year, playing his way into that top. I think top 30. Didn't he make the tour championship? And now starting off with a good week, really kind of cementing his place. So, the smartest man on the PGA Tour by some estimation. Again, just managing the inputs nicely. Just managing the situation nicely, taking advantage of things, optimizing. You love to see it. As a former consultant myself, you love to see somebody working the system like that. So, hats off to you, Mav. Very nice.
How did Harry Hall sneak into this event?
Who can possibly say except that he won the don't call it the Barbasol anymore. I think it's
Oh.
the ISCO
Yep.
championship.
Copy
Yeah.
that.
That opposite field event in Kentucky. I think it's opposite the Genesis Scottish now, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
So the European guys The DP World Tour guys who can't get starts over there come to Kentucky and play in Kentucky in like the worst time of year possible to be in Kentucky, and he came over and won the darn thing.
Mm,
Copy
So
that.
hats
copy
off
that.
to yeah. So your Hogan cap, take your Hogan cap off to Harry Hall, Bryson Light.
Hmm.
Yep. So let's put a bow on the Century. Obviously, the Sony Open this week.
That's right.
A lot of guys not going to be there. A lot of the big names are not going to be there. So we'll post who we've got, who we're locking in this week. But I want to move on to the TGL. First night, last night. Yeah, that's the transition. Sorry, Sterling. You just got to live with it.
I mean, I thought we were
Uh,
going somewhere else first, but it's fine.
oh, let's get into TGL.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So first night last night, I kind of want to get everybody's impression of it. I felt like the hype from ESPN. They obviously had SVP there. The merch is obviously being sold, and Sterling's buying at all time
No,
highs.
no, hang on, hang on.
Oh,
Don't do that.
Are you sponsored? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Are you sponsored?
He's an influencer.
Oh,
Of course, the Bay is sponsoring him.
okay. All right.
This. I'm a LeBron James fan. I want to start with saying that. I don't like the Bay. Steph Curry. Never been a fan. Only rooting for the Bay because of Minwoo Lee.
Who wasn't
Great
even
win
there.
last
Who
night.
was not in the roster?
Not even
We'll
not
get
even in
there.
the country. Not
We'll
even
Did
in
not
the
get
get
there.
the start. Did not get
He's
the
in
start.
Australia. He's in Australia. Secret Santa got me this. So shout out to my Secret Santa. So yeah, that's where I got the shirt from. Didn't have to pay for it. But nice try.
Okay.
Good, good. Oh, I'm glad. So first night, obviously Sterling's team is playing against New York. I thought the hype was there. I was not let down. I did watch Four Play Sports go and kind of show everything around. What it would look like, how the different shots are hit. I thought that was pretty cool. They obviously were getting a lot of focus around this. I was pleasantly surprised. It was an absolute shellacking, though. I would say like 9-2. I think is what it ended up being. The Bay was firing on all cylinders, and Ricky and Xander and that other guy, because Fitzy didn't show up. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he did, but
That was tough.
it just that was a little bad. But I think the crowd seemed to be engaged. Obviously, there was a lot of chatter. There was cheers. I didn't hear any boos, but I thought overall I thought it was good. It was the right amount of time. You kept engaged for the right amount of time. I know, Mike, you want to talk about the playing through opportunities on it as well, but I thought the time frame was perfect. I thought the commercial load was fine, the playing through and everything like that. I loved the interviews. Obviously, getting in front of Tiger, getting in front of Rory. I hope that they continue that, just bringing other people on there each week. But more importantly, being in the players' years, being able to talk to them, hearing how they're going through their shots, and kind of some of the conversations between teams. But overall, I thought it was great, and I'm excited to see what it grows into. I hope it's not a one and done, and it kind of starts going downhill from here. But I was pleasantly surprised.
I think they benefited from having an extra year, definitely. Uh, that being said, I feel like from a production standpoint, from a technical standpoint, what we saw last night is probably the worst they're going to do because it was the first one, and it was great. It was absolutely phenomenally well produced. I thought they pulled it off without a hitch. They looked really prepared and ready to go right out of the gate. Shout out to my hitters at CapTech, great Richmond company, who I know was very involved with a lot of the technology behind the scenes there. None of my friends at CapTech were on this project, unfortunately, but they can all take pride in the job that their folks did. And I was super impressed. My wife watched the whole thing with me, which I think was pretty impressive, and she was into it. And yeah, I thought it was a great experience, and especially for their first outing at creating a new sports experience, I think you got to give them really high marks. Was it perfect? I wouldn't say it was perfect. I was joking about the playing through. One of the things they managed to do is they didn't cover over any important shots or anything like that. So that was more of a joke than anything. I, I could have used. You guys might think I'm crazy here. I could have used a little less Tiger on the mic. Not zero, but I could have used a little less of him. I could have used a little less Rory. They're going to need to be a little more interesting if they're going to be commentators. I could have used a lot less Khaled, like almost no Khaled. Could have used zero Khaled. Could have gone for negative Khaled even. That's just a personal thing. But even factoring that in, I think honestly, I don't want to sound like too much of a fanboy, but I feel like they knocked it out of the park. I am definitely excited to watch next week.
I mean, I agree with you two. I thought it was really solid. If I had to rank it, 7.5, 7.5 out of 10. I thought some moments felt manufactured. Didn't love the walkouts. I don't know how you change it. It felt a little cringy. I understand it was the first night, so you got to go over all the rules. People are brand new to the sport; they may have never watched golf before, so I get that. The hammer presented by FedEx. Maybe I didn't get a good look at it. Was it just a yellow towel
Yes.
that they put in their
It was a
back?
flag. It was a
Like,
flag,
just like
almost
for
like
football?
an NFL ref flag. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I think there's an opportunity missed there. We should be able to do something a little bit better. I
You
don't
want
know,
a
like a
real
golden
hammer?
ball or something. I don't know what I want.
A real
I don't.
hammer. I want a real hammer.
Sure, maybe you set it off in their backswing or something. I don't know.
I saw somebody say that they would prefer, instead of a towel, they would prefer like a huge gong on the side that
Yes,
the player would run over and smack the gong to throw down the hammer. That would be a little more entertaining.
That's pretty funny, and that's a reference to something that Sterling definitely has never seen. And Madison, I don't know if you've ever seen the Gong Show or not, but
Yeah.
all right, good deal. Uh, the hammer, you need to lose the hammer. Also, I think you can't just sit on it. You should only be able to hold it for a couple holes without throwing it. The Bay just sat on the hammer once they had it.
I think that's a
Kind of at
part
the end.
of. I mean, when you have a lead, right? I mean, that's a part of the strategy.
I think you want more volatility, though. I mean, we were pretty hyped up to watch last night because it was new. 9-2 was a little bit tough.
For some.
Definitely. Yeah. True. But for those of us who didn't have a rooting interest in either team and you're not looking for a blowout, it would have been I thought it would have been cool to see the hammer revert back to New York after maybe 3 holes where it's not used. Give it back to New York and maybe they dig themselves an even bigger grave, Sterling. Maybe they make it even worse for themselves, hammering inappropriately. But
I was going to ask, what do you think of? I'll ask you first, Sterling. What do you think of the overall concept as far as the gameplay, starting with the three-man alt shot and then going into singles after that? Do you like that style,
Gotta
or
be
would you change it?
got to be alt shot the whole time. Alt shot was the best part of the night.
it was. It was.
More on the gameplay. I didn't realize until a few weeks ago that it was going to be fictional holes, which I get. Like, obviously, someone can't just create Pebble Beach. Like, we see these guys play Pebble Beach, during the year. Um, man, to go back about a year ago now, Madison, when we played True Blue, what we're seeing on screen is the definition of clown golf. And I get it. You got to take the opportunity to, like, create a virtual course. You have to make it crazy and something that you won't see in the real world. And then I understand that the green isn't going to change. Like, the green is the same at the end of every hole. I don't know how you do it, but I would like to see something a little bit more realistic. And I think also like golf is one of those sports where like the scenery matters, and when it's that fake, I feel like you lose a lot of that. That was just kind of my initial thoughts once I saw, the big screen. I love the fact that they hit off of real grass and real sand and real rough. I
Hmm.
love the fact that they have a mic right next to those hitting areas and it sounds, like someone's hitting next to you on the driving range. Um, but yeah, I mean, the clown golf was a little bit of a joke to me.
I think so. Ultimately, most of the holes were normal. Most of them looked like if you were on TrackMan playing some course, like they looked normal. I think the one that threw me off the most was the bow tie shaped one. I can't remember what they call that one. And then the
The
one where
spear,
you're
the one that comes into a point and then flares out from the point.
maybe that's what it is.
So you
And
either lay up to about 240 or you've got to carry it
yeah,
300
because it's like
yards.
what is it like 20
Yeah,
yards in the yeah that one
right,
obviously
right.
super off like, and then the cliff one I think was one of the other ones. But like some of the opening holes were just, I mean, they were just kind of normal. I mean, nothing crazy. So maybe they mixed in a little bit until later through. But I agree. I think something a little more realistic would be interesting. But I do think for the non-avid player of golf or even watcher of golf, who's maybe just played Tiger Woods golf, or who's played Golden
Golden
Tee
tee,
or anything
golden
like
tee.
that, like having some of those holes can kind of keep them invested or kind of involved in it. But also for the players too, because I mean, you think about it, like I'm sure Fitzpatrick didn't have the spear in one of his thousand notebooks of how to play that hole. So I think for them it's kind of a different look too. But yeah, I mean, I think them being able to control the greens underneath is a super cool concept. Obviously, they can't change the whole layout like you're saying, Sterling, but be able to change the break from hole to hole depending on where you are on it, I thought was pretty cool. But
Hmm.
I'll say the one piece that I think sets it apart, and I know that we talk about this a lot, or we've gotten into debates around Brian Harmon last year, but the shot clock I think is so cool, because there's a lot of times where those players have more, they have more time than that. They're afforded more time. They're able to get up to their shot, wait for two or three other players to hit their ball, and they've had time to decide what they're going to do. Then they pull their club and hit. But as soon as that ball lands and it's their turn, they're at the screen lining up where they're going to go, and then shot clock starts. So I don't think anyone got close enough where they were going to put themselves in jeopardy of not hitting in time. But I do think it was something that really kind of kept the pace really going on something like that. Didn't
Yeah,
feel didn't feel too dry. So
I loved the pacing. I thought the pacing was phenomenal, and kudos to the shot clock. I thought that really worked nicely. The heartbeat, that little added bit of suspense, pressure. I thought that was great. I'm gonna stand up for the fact that it looked like they were playing sim golf on a Golden Tee course. I like the idea. The execution might not have been perfect, but I like the idea that they can start creating challenges for these players that you cannot feasibly create in the real world. Because the economics of a golf course, you're not going to create a golf course that's just for PGA Tour pros. It has to be playable the other 51 weeks out of the year. So it has to be playable by mere mortals. But here, they can design holes and they can probably come up with more traditional looking holes, but with challenges that only these guys, that only these guys can face. So I'm looking forward to that. The one green, cool that they can rotate it at least so they can get some different looks at it. I'm hoping TGL year two they can have a second green built and do some different things and really open things up. But I know that was a massive investment. 600 jacks costs a lot of money, and just the the tech nerd in me though is absolutely just geeking out at what's going on there from a technology standpoint. You know, how many different how many different full swing simulators are there capturing this? I mean, that was just absolutely phenomenal. You know,
yeah, I think the other thing that was really cool too is, when the players are hitting these shots, it's a lot of times it seems like maybe they look at it and they're like, you don't even know if they know where it's going to go. Obviously, they're seeing it go 30 feet or 40, 30 yards, 40 yards, whatever it is.
Hmm.
But you don't know exactly how it's going to curve or whatever. So I think a lot of times watching their faces as they're kind of
Yeah.
seeing it is something that's pretty cool too, because you can't watch that ball fly all the way through the
I
sky.
think I think Fitzy knew he was hitting those hot poles as soon as the ball came off the club face, though, and I have been there and I have felt that where that's the only shot you have that day is the hot pole.
Yeah, I will say, and this is nothing against Matt Fitzpatrick. I know it's not Sterling's U.S. Open champion or anything like that. We won't get into that, but I will say that was one that I didn't see being when the teams were announced. I didn't see that one being a a pick, not so much for the play, but more for the personality. And I think I was 100% right after last night because when you're not playing well, especially in something like this, which is completely new, that's an opportunity for you to just kind of let your personality show a little bit more. You're there to have a good time, right? It's not perfect. You're not playing well, but I mean, for him, it was just still kind of like he felt still kind of closed off, quiet, everything like that. Xander was up there. They were getting beat down bad, but Xander was still having a good time. He was smiling. He was laughing. Ricky throwing the flag down in front of Shane's putt. Obviously that seemed a little forced, but just nothing out of Fitz. Nothing.
I think that's what you're gonna get though. And yeah, you didn't get anything out of Fitz, but I felt like with the pacing, with the number of shots we were seeing, they weren't as dependent
Hmm.
upon banter and upon humor. So I feel like Fitz being a doorknob personality wise, and it was still enjoyable to watch is kind of a testament to the fact that they're on the right track, and this can work without having a bunch of entertainers.
Hmm.
Without having six fat Perez's out there, that this can work. So that again was something that really kind of struck me is that like I was into the golf. I was into the golf, and any banter we got, anything like that was just kind of added bonus.
Yeah, my fear with them being mic'd up was that it would start turning into the at least the last couple, the matches that we've had, which felt just super forced. Like they
Hmm.
were having to draw content, get them to talk. So I think everyone was pretty free last night, and I thought it was really good from that standpoint. I'm excited to see what some of the other players are like going through there. Obviously, next week you've got Jupiter Links, and it's not New York again, is it? It's Jupiter Links in.
Good question as we all pull up the schedule. So next week is LA versus Juplinks.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, obviously with Tiger being out there, I'm sure he'll be talking. Kevin Kisner, I'm sure will be, making sure that he is well heard and kind of shows up there. But I mean, there's going to be some people that are going to be a little bit drier, but I think overall it's going to be good. So
Yeah, I think where this succeeds, where the match fails, I know the match has to be live. Everything has to be live because of betting. All right, fine. But there's too much downtime between shots in the match. Whereas with this, it's constantly moving. So you're not reliant upon any of the players to do like a 5 minute stand up set. If you get one good quip out of them, great. That you're golden. That's all you need. That's all you need from them. And the guys in the booth can jump in if things are getting a little bit slow there, but there's not so much dead air like there is in the match where then you're feeling like if they're saying anything that yeah, it had to be scripted.
With the PGA Tour announcing the new potential creator series, um, I think there's room for TGL potentially next year, or the next few years, to throw in a Fat Perez, a Garrett Clark,
Mm-hmm.
a YouTube golf personality, um, Wesley Bryan, George Bryan, any of them, I think would be interesting. Um, like you said, like Fitzpatrick, couple guys on the PGA Tour or on the TGL Tour League, um, you're just not going to get a lot from. So I definitely could see the next few years where they're throwing in a personality in the mix, and I think you can also obviously then get the YouTube golf viewer, which I know Grant Horvat had Tiger Woods on his channel yesterday, which was massive. But I think that's where a lot of the younger kids are watching. They're obviously watching Good more than they are like the PGA Tour. So be on the lookout for that.
When so, are you thinking that they're going to have like one personality or one more like YouTube creator added to the team, or would you have like a couple YouTube teams that could then alternate and play some of these professionals week in and week out, or just creators playing creators
I think you add a creator to like the bay.
to
Like
the
maybe
mix?
you drop Minwoo, throw in a Riggs or
Oh God!
Jerry. Just
What did I
imagine. Just
just hear?
imagine.
What did
Just
I just hear you say, Sterling? That's
I'm not saying you
blasphemy.
drop Minwoo. Like I mean, obviously, like you drop Fitzpatrick, but
Yeah.
So I would say, you know what, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. And what you could do in those situations is you could use that fourth, if that creator was the fourth, but like on the team, you could have them kind of do some of uh, the mid round interviews and stuff like that. Having that fourth player or whatever on the team, having that fourth player up there, they know the team. They're on the team. They're having conversations with them. They know, like, can crack jokes back and forth to the players, which I think would be good too. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be that's a good thought,
may,
Sterling. Market.
may,
Let's market that now, so we'll get credit for it later down the road.
maybe instead of the hammer, the other team has like a swap card or something, and like Jersey Jerry has to come in and hit the next shot for that team, no matter where they are. Like just like that would
So,
be insane.
So let me go a step further. What if you get that card? Jerry has to come out like out of the bullpen, and he has to do that walkout.
Yo,
They get the fog cannons going, and and he's coming out of the tunnel to shoot hit his shot.
that'd be sick.
Yeah.
What's that guy for the Mets that was doing like the trumpet song?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm not a baseball guy really, but
Oh, I'm
that'd be
embarrassed
so
because
good.
I'm a Mets fan. I should know this, but
Yeah. That's how Jersey Jerry comes out when he hits
so
his shot.
good. Maybe they ride in on like a golf scooter.
oh, it's Diaz, isn't it?
You could say any name, Mike, and it'd be
Edwin-
correct in my book.
It's Edwin Diaz, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
Moving kind of away from the TGL, we can come back to it. I didn't want this thought to slip away. But that cup behind you, Madison.
Oh yeah.
What is that doing on display?
I had just put it up here after the RVA Open, and I just haven't moved it since.
The fact that you could proudly display that to the public is mind-boggling.
This isn't displayed to the public. This is just a cup on a shelf right now. It
Mike,
happens
am
to
I
be
con-
on.
Mike,
It
am I
happens to
confused?
it happens to be on camera. Typically, when I'm at my desk and I'm taking calls, I have a different back screen. I have a corporate back screen. So, yeah.
Corporate
it's not
back
really-
screen.
Yeah, I've got or corporate green screen or whatever.
Ah,
Wait, you have a green screen that you have to pull up?
What they call it, it's in Teams. The green screen or
Oh,
whatever.
you're
effect.
using the virtual.
I
You're
got
using
you.
the
You're
virtual
doing
background.
I
Yeah,
got
so
you,
nobody sees it anyways. But yeah, I
You-
put
are
all
you,
that stuff in here and I
no.
just dropped it there.
Are you a coffee shop guy? Like, are you what's your background usually?
It's one of our trucks.
What a company,
No,
man.
no. You've got to go. You've got to go with a real, real backdrop. This is my backdrop. I will own that football. And anybody who wants to give me crap about it, hand up. I'll sit there and take it. It inspires conversation, whether it's sympathy or whether it's derision. So Madison, seeing what I've got in my background, if you've got the RVA Open Cup in your background, More power to you, buddy.
Oh wait, you can't. There's no way.
Sir, let me
Mike, you are a Giants fan.
Yes. Die hard.
You're a
yes.
diehard. Madison's got a
Giants fan.
trophy up of something he didn't even win.
Wait.
He
is that
didn't
first
win.
place?
Yes, that is first place RVA Open 2024.
Oh, that's stolen valor.
First
Okay.
off,
I'm with you. That's stolen valor.
First off, it says nothing about first place. It just says 2024 RVA Open Championship. So maybe the person that made the cup could put a first, second, or third place, or maybe even turn it into a trophy. But this just says the tournament that I played in.
That's a good point. I want everyone listening to know that that was for the winners. And the guy that won that cup had to leave early. And
The guy
Madison
that won that
bugged
cup
me about it.
was also a dirty
Don't
sandbagger. He was a dirty sandbagger. That's all I'm gonna say.
God, I don't think we had this conversation on the podcast, but I kind of want to bring it up now. I mean, we've still got a few
No.
minutes left.
No. We've got other stuff to talk about.
What else do we have to talk about?
We were gonna talk about some equipment changes and
Max
I don't know.
Homa went to Puma. And
yeah, we were
Cobra.
talking about Bezaden Hood.
Disgusting.
We were talking about the new drivers that are out.
How do you
new
leave
clubs.
FootJoy and Titleist to go to Cobra, Puma, and Lululemon?
Your boy Minwoo was a Lululemon. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but who was his clothing sponsor before? He left.
Amazing core. Yeah.
Exactly. Max Homa left FootJoy. There are only a few brands that I'd leave FootJoy for.
Look, you got to go where
But
the
you're
money is.
leaving. If you leave Titleist, you got to leave FootJoy.
That's what I'm
a
saying. Like
package-
if
that's a
yeah.
package deal. You're not going to do Cobra clubs and FootJoy clothes.
Yeah.
Acushnet's not going for that.
I'm trying to think of a golfer that plays Titleist.
That's
There
not
are
FootJoy?
golfers that play Titleist that are not FootJoy. JT,
Yes.
Spieth, but none of them
Okay.
wear a clothing brand that is also a club company, like Cobra Puma.
Gotcha. But
So
he
that's-
left. I can go the other way. He left Titleist to go to
So-
Cobra.
But here's the thing, though, right?
The 3D
left-
printed irons.
3D printed irons.
He said this is
3D printed irons. One of one. He gets one of one clubs from Cobra.
listen. This is what I'm saying. He went for where he felt. I don't know if I can't remember if he said he felt like it was a true collaboration. He met with, what is it, Ben Showman? I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Check me on that, Mike. Ben Showman, they had a couple conversations. He wasn't necessarily sure that he was going to go to Cobra, but he had a couple conversations with Ben Showman about like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Is this something that you guys can do? And he said after a couple conversations with him, he felt that Cobra and Ben knew exactly what to do for him. They got it turned around quickly. They answered the questions. They checked the boxes. So, I mean, I think when you're coming off a pretty poor year, everyone is searching for something, right? You're thinking, what can change? What do I need to change, or what could change? Because I saw some success, a decent amount of success, and then I saw
changed.
an absolute drought.
He changed everything.
So change everything.
Coaches,
Everything.
clubs, apparel.
Yep.
Thank God Meredith's still
Everything
there.
but-
Oh my goodness.
everything
Not
but the
Meredith.
ball.
Whoa, what's his...
Whoa,
Whoa,
Lacey.
yeah,
Come on now.
Lacey.
Whoa.
Lacey.
Been watching a
Jeez.
lot of Grey's Anatomy recently. That's on me, Scotty.
Well,
That's on me.
All good. All good. But one big thing, going to Cobra, he didn't have to change the ball.
Right.
So unlike TaylorMade, where he probably would have had to change the ball, he could keep the ball the same. And at Cobra, he's the biggest star there now. He's the biggest name there. Right? I mean, Gary Woodland?
Ricky
Fowler?
Fowler.
He's the biggest star there now. At
No,
least playing
no.
wise.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Playing wise.
He's the
Play,
best-
yes.
He is the biggest playing star, yes.
Yeah.
Ricky's still Ricky. But I mean, Ricky's even not Ricky anymore. Not like he used to be. Max could be the new Ricky. Is Max the new Ricky now?
If I'm Max Homa, I hope not.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know
doesn't
if I want
to be.
that.
I'm saying
You don't
he
want that title.
Yeah, but he can get one of one irons from Cobra, whereas at Titleist, he's one of many in the stable.
Yeah. I mean, you think about everything that Ben and Cobra were trying to do for Bryson. I mean, that's a true testament of how willing they are to adapt to their player. And now Max is much more
A nicer
traditional.
and a nicer person.
I'm not going to comment on his personality.
He's not going to drag them in public
I'm,
like Bryson did.
not going to comment on that.
I will. I don't
but
care. Bryson, you know what? You're welcome to come on the show and we can talk.
Bryson, Mike was hoping that you busted a window out in your house when you were trying to hit it over. But you think about Max is a much more traditional player anyway, so the changes he's going to need or want are going to be very minor. But if you have someone that's like, I'll build you whatever you want. Our system can, you say you want this, I'll build it for you. We'll build it for you, no problem, no questions asked. I think that's something that's the key because like you said, he's not one of many anymore. He's one of three,
Right.
if we're being completely honest. So I do think that was a good change.
I hope it reduces.
Yeah.
He could really use a win here. It's getting scary.
Yeah, that California swing is typically pretty good to him. So I mean that might be a good opportunity for him for sure. But hey, maybe he just sweeps the TGL. I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. Did you want to talk any other equipment? New drivers out.
New drivers are out.
Speaking of that, got obviously Max Homa playing the new Cobra driver. The new TaylorMade QI35s are out. Already some players that have made the switch to that as well, and that's getting rave reviews. Hideki won with a new Srixon driver. Who else was I thinking of?
Bezadenhout.
Bezadenhout
to PXG.
left full Callaway bag and went to PXG. Is Jake Knapp still with PXG or did he change? He was a big PXG guy when he came out, and I've seen a lot of stuff about PXG's new driver, which looks a little more like everything else that's on the market as far as the bottom of it goes. So I didn't know if there would be any more changes over to their stuff.
Good question. He's still PXG.
Okay. All right. So maybe they're kind of trying to rebuild their
Still
group
PXG.
over there.
Looks like some Vokey wedges in there though.
Who's on PXG's roster now? They kind of went away from having a bunch of people on the tour, or maybe a bunch of people went away from playing them on the tour. But I don't really know too many people that are out there with PXG.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Charles Howell. I think he was a PXG guy. I think he's on. Is he on Live now or something?
He's on left.
He's on the. So maybe that's why we don't see it.
Yeah, I think they're more focused on veterans, getting kind of clubs in the general public's hands now.
Jolie D, Jake Knapp, Zach Johnson. Not sure I want that.
Zach Johnson's been there since they started.
Eric Cole, David Lipsky, Luke List, Nico Echevarria. Had a hot end of the year last year. Justin Lauer, Dylan Wu, Henrik Norlander, Kevin Doherty. Are these even PGA Tour pros? Patrick Fishburne.
Kevin Doherty is. My friend has like kind of the same name.
I'm kidding. So
every time I see him on the leaderboard, I bring him up.
Yeah, Scott Gachewski, Ryan McCormick, Paul Barjon.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah,
so,
there's nothing of.
Keep going. I might be on there.
There's. Oh yeah.
Wait, isn't he the professional at Tattersall?
Yeah, you just keep going. I mean, you're kind of getting close at this point.
Sterling, you might not even know. You're represented by them. You might not even know.
Anyone that plays their clubs could be on that list. I mean, anyone.
Yeah. I do.
It's just a sales history for them.
Just receipts.
Yeah. New one just popped up from Golf Galaxy.
I do want to add, in sort of more of the direct-to-consumer space, there's been some changes, I guess some developments there. Tacoma Irons, that is really kind of taken the creator space by storm. If you think about how many people they now represent, but for the Bryan Bros to be partial owners, Grant Horvat, partial owner as well, leaving his TaylorMade roots, except for a couple clubs. Um, I mean, do you see more people kind of buying into these direct to consumer brands or having sort of ownership in them? Like, do you see someone potentially investing in Lab?
I mean, if I'm Lab, I don't change
Mm,
anything. I mean, they're
yeah.
on the absolute right track right now. Um, are you asking if Wesley Bryan, George Bryan, Brian Bros, Grant Horvath being partial owners in Tacoma Irons, is that changing anything?
Does it does it change the way, I mean, as far as, okay, so you look at it on tour, right? You find whoever, typically, maybe it's your favorite player, or maybe it's the player that's playing the best, and people sort of gravitate towards their irons, towards their clubs, towards their putter, their ball, whatever it may be. Does having, now that you're starting to see this shift to YouTube golf, which has been on a steady rise, do you start seeing that these people getting involved with brands really help drive those sales? And you look at someone like, Foreplay Golf, obviously teaming up with TaylorMade, and Good teaming up with Callaway. You still um, your big manufacturers, but does having these involvements from creators and some of these smaller, more independent brands help really kind of drive their cause? And the reason I asked about Lab is because Lab is under immense pressure right now, and not necessarily, they may not be feeling the pressure, but all of the manufacturers are trying to develop the same no torque, zero torque putter that has been so successful
I,
with Lab. You've seen the Callaway, or I'm sorry, the Odyssey putters come out. PXG has come out with a putter that's supposed to mimic it as well. They've had some success on tour, but do they need these creators potentially investing in it as well to continue to push the brand?
I think Lab gets bought. I think a putter only brand is more likely to get bought by an OEM.
Like a
You
Logan
know,
Olson?
what's that?
Like a Logan Olson?
Like a Logan Olson, like Scotty was bought, like Odyssey was bought. I could see TaylorMade buying Lab.
They just
I see
bought
that.
they just bought Logan Olson.
You know, Callaway's got Callaway's got Odyssey and Toulon,
That
so
they've
I mean,
parted
there's
way
room.
they've parted ways with Toulon. So
Right, but they
Toulon's
had
its
right,
own
but
thing.
they had Odyssey and Toulon at the same time. So there's room for the boutique and something that's going to be more mass produced. I could see one of the big OEMs buying Lab and that being more of a play than the creator thing. One thing I'm wondering though with this ownership as it is, did he put up his own money to buy into this, or did they give him equity in the company in lieu of dollars?
So that's a good question.
I'm not seeing anything on the actual details of the deal.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's kind of what I was wondering too, because like what does it cost to be a co-owner? You look at oh shoot, what is it? Ryan Reynolds and Rob, I think it's Rob McElhenney who bought
A
a,
soccer
Who
team?
bought
a
out
soccer
Wrexham?
team, right?
Yeah,
Wrexham.
yeah.
Wrexham. So you have all these investors. You look at Formula One. You have so many stars now are investing into Alpine. What is the cost? Can two and one? Can we buy into it? Can we be co-owners? I mean, like, what does it cost? Is it 10 grand? Do you just get play all the stuff and all of your, maybe a portion of your ad revenue goes to them from your videos? I mean, what is it? What does a co-ownership mean? What's their share? How does it
Yeah.
work?
I
Yeah,
mean, I'm wondering if this is truly an equity grant in lieu of or in addition to hard dollars that go from Tacoma to Grant Horvath because they couldn't afford him. They couldn't afford to just write him the check that they would need to write him. But oh, we can give you 30% equity in the company or 15% equity in the company or whatever. And frankly, because it's not publicly traded, what does that even mean?
yeah. But then you have to look at the Bryan Bros because they were already playing Tacoma. So
Right.
what's the benefit of offering them any type of share unless
again, it's it's something that they can give the Bryans in lieu of taking even more of their dollars
Hmm.
and giving those dollars to the Bryan Bros. Instead, they can keep the dollars in the company, invested in R&D, invested in manufacturing, invested in marketing someplace else. And now the Bryan Bros are incredibly incentivized because I'm sure there's some sort of, because this isn't a publicly traded company, there's got to be some kind of there's got to be some kind of way to value that equity. And as the company hits growth targets, profitability targets, whatever, the equity is worth more. So, yeah, I mean, now you've got these guys acting like owners instead of acting like employees. I think it totally makes sense. Absolutely makes sense for Tacoma to do this.
Yeah, I I agree, and I'll say when we talk about direct to consumer brands, because there's a lot out there that have been pushing hard this
Mm-hmm.
year. Tacoma has, in my opinion, has done it better than anyone else. When you think about, they looked at all the creators that I think that were kind of on the rise, all of them that were showing growth.
Oh, yeah.
Um, they Luke Kwan, they got Busta Jack, they got obviously the Bryan Bros have been around for a while. Getting Grant Horvat was a huge win. Um, Luke Kwan's buddies, Sam and Taco and
And
all of
Taka,
them. I
yeah.
thought, that was a good pickup as well. Claire Hogel, however you say her last name. I mean, they've got so many people signed
You're
But
missing
under
the
that
Tacomo's
label.
you're
Tacomo's
missing
everywhere. I feel like we're the only ones not playing Tacoma.
Who am I
We're the
missing,
only
Sterling?
ones who don't have a deal.
unless something's changed at the start of this year. Your boy Eric.
I saw him doing something with Ping recently.
Really?
I saw a video where he was playing golf with the Ping president or owner, and I think he switched to Ping.
Oh,
Maybe just the driver, but yeah, I know he was kind of the one that started it more than
Yeah.
anyone else. He was the one that went over there and played with them and all that stuff. He's still a big lab guy, but I
Mm,
want to say he moved to Ping.
bummer.
Yeah, yeah.
To go back to your question, I don't think signing these creators does anything for Tacoma. Obviously, it puts their product out there, but I don't think for the general consumer, I don't think that's going to push them towards Tacoma irons versus a set of Titleist, even though Titleist is double the price. I think like if you're Callaway and you have good and you're trying to sell, golf balls, gloves, whatever, it makes sense. But at that price point, what are Tacoma irons like 450, 500?
I think they're around six. For
Yeah, I
if you
just
get like their super forgiving player development irons, I think they're around like four and some change. But once you get into like a muscle back or anything like that, I think they're around six.
yeah, I just to me I think that's just a little too high.
Yeah.
you think it's a little bit too high?
I think what am I trying to say? It's like watching a Grant Horvat video and him saying, "Oh, 10% off at checkout for Tacoma irons," like it's not going to persuade me to go into my shopping cart and purchase $600 irons. Like I'm still going to go get fit and spend the extra money on a set of Titleist.
But
But
you're a discerning.
if you're trying to sell merch like under 100 and whatever dollars, like obviously that will work.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the Iron 101, which I think are their
Mm-hmm.
most forgiving irons,
Mm-hmm.
and right out of the gate, 489 with the KBS Tour Light regular shaft. And if you're just getting into golf and you really don't know much, and you're trying to move from that first set of hand me downs to your first set of new irons, and Grant Horvat is playing Tacomos, and you're thinking, oh, well, Grant Horvat is a really good golfer. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I could see that less discerning golfer saying, yeah, I want a new set of irons. These are under 500 bucks out the door. I know I'm right-handed. Do I use regular or stiff shafts? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, but I'm just gonna take the defaults and have me a new set of irons for under $500. I could see that. I mean, Sterling, you're not the market.
I know.
You're not the market for Tacomas.
Mm-mm. Yeah, because I mean, you said it best, right? Like, oh, if I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I'll just go ahead and spend a little bit more. I'll make sure I get fit and all that. But you got to remember the general population of golfers who are more casual golfers or weekend warriors or whatever it may be, just getting into the game. The amount of them that actually get fit are very, very few.
Yeah.
Very, very few. And I still think there's a little bit of people look at like a club champion or like a golf tech or whatever, and you look at it and you're like, okay, well, I got to go spend. I think club champion, like for a full bag fitting, is close to $400. So that turns people off right away. They're like, oh, this is what my buddy plays, and I've hit his irons before, and I'm just getting into it, and I'm just casual. So when you can find a set of clubs that are under $500, like Mike said, and all you need to know is that you have hit a stiff shaft before, and that's all you really care about. The price point makes it something where if it doesn't work out, you're not like, wow, that sucks. That was a lot of money. Whereas, the average price for a set of Callaway irons or TaylorMade right now is what, $1,200?
Yeah, and increasing by the day, it feels like.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. But
Absolutely.
what I guess kind of my point and what I was getting back to is when you look at Tacoma, right? Tacoma's not manufacturing these clubs. Am I correct on that? Right. They've got a facility that they buy a mold from, just like Cali. Because if you look at the Cali golf clubs, they look almost identical to Como, except for the stamping on the back. I think I think it's Haywood Golf
Haywood.
out of Canada.
Maybe sub 70. I've seen some of the 699 irons that look a lot like this.
It seems
Ram,
like it's all
you
coming
name
out of
it.
the same factory. So really, the point is, you have all these brands, and they're probably all playing the exact same. The only thing that could change is maybe the shaft offerings on some of those. So that's what I'm saying. Like to really differentiate yourself
Yeah.
from the other DTCs, do you need these creators? Do you need all that? And I think you do. I think that's why they
Yeah.
have to.
I mean, these manufacturers overseas will take that generic design, stamp it how you want to stamp it, do a little finishing, a little milling, maybe they grind the toe down a little bit more for you and round it off or square it off or something so you can look a little bit different. But yeah, I'm pretty convinced that it's basically the same club, that this player's distance foam filled iron that all of these DTC companies seem to be selling. Sub 70 might have their own design, New Level might have their own design, but I think a lot of the other ones are using basically the same design with a little bit of tweak from that manufacturer who's willing to do that. Honestly, I mean, it begs the question: 2-in-1 Golf could start its own company and start selling irons if we wanted to.
We've got the head covers.
I've looked at, I mean, literally, I've looked at Alibaba and thought, if we could market these things, things, there are people who will make them for us. Do
We'll put
we want
Sterling's
to
name
be
on
a
it.
golf company?
Yeah, we'll have Sterling endorse them.
The Sterling
guys,
1, the Sterling 2.
PGA professional here, Sterling Simmons III. Just wanted to come to you guys real quick. Just talk
Sterling,
to you.
yes. Sterling 1 is our blade. Sterling 2 is our player's cavity back. Madison, the Madison 1 is our player's distance, and then the mic is the super game improvement.
Yeah, we could do it all. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think we're good on the equipment front. I think there's going to be some more stuff coming out, but just really interesting early in the year, early in the season, kind of seeing all these changes to equipment, what the players are playing, but obviously some really good reviews of the new irons, new drivers, new putters coming out. So it's good.
Excited to see it. Definitely excited to get to hopefully try some of the stuff out. Who knows? Maybe maybe Madison and I will make another trip to the Festival of Golf. Had a great time at that last year. So
maybe Sterling
maybe
goes this
Sterling
year.
will join us. Maybe Sterling won't join us. We'll have to see about that.
Yep.
But all right, guys. So hour and 15 minutes in. Want to thank everybody who's hung in there this long for us. Please check out our latest video. We've got a relatively new video up, watching me play and keep track of my stats. That was an interesting experience. Keeping track of the good shots that I hit made me far less depressed about shooting a score that was really pretty bad. So I think it was a different kind of take on things. So would love to see everybody get out there, watch that video, like it, get into the comments, engage with us, and subscribe to the channel, please. So, gentlemen, any parting thoughts?
No. TGL next week. Jupiter Links, LA Golf, Sony Open.
Let's go, Jupe Links.
Shout out to the Bay, leading the league currently. Feels good to be at the top. See how long we'll stay there. Is there like a championship at the end of this thing?
There's
There
a
is.
trophy. If you didn't see them walking past it, there's a
I
trophy.
did see that.
And it's important. The reason that they kept playing holes, it's important because if there's a tie at the end of the year,
Tiebreakers, yes.
they do have tiebreakers, and it goes to matches won. So
And as the Giants are learning in the draft, tiebreakers are important.
very true.
What are we, 3? Are we 3 now?
We're three. So.
What are we doing
Will
beating
Shador,
the Colts? What are we doing?
please, am I right?
There's Drew
Is
Lock
someone-
out there just dropping 44 points or whatever on the Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez.
Is someone going to pass on either Shador or Cam Ward?
Yeah, we'll get one of them. And if we don't get one of them, we'll get Travis, so like it's fine.
Okay. I hope so. Please
don't
keep
think we'll
telling me that.
We won't get Travis, though. We need a quarterback.
We need
it's
a
getting out of
quarterback.
hand.
Yeah.
Dayball's staying, right?
Dable is staying. Schoen is staying. Yep. They've got one more year, I think, to make it happen. So, all right. Let's get out of here on that one. Folks, thanks for hanging in here this long. Please be sure to, like I said, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, at 2-in-1 Golf. And we will see you next time.